So, as I said, the conversation today, most of today, is going to be all around Made in Nigeria. I'm being joined now on the program by the director with the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, Mrs. Wonu Adetayo. Good morning to you, Ms. Adetayo. Thank you so much for joining me on the program this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
It's great to have you on the program, and I might say you're looking really nice, all dressed in your adire, one of our local fabrics made here in Nigeria. But for you, do you think this conversation has started off on the right note here at the summit?
I strongly believe that we've started off right. In the first instance, the presence of the president of the country indicates that government is prepared and is committed to engage with its people, to partner with the private sector, understanding clearly that the issues that face us need a very, very strong partnership between the private and public sector to be able to deliver the kind of results that the populace and indeed the whole world is expecting of this country. So I believe it started off positively by that presence. Secondly, you would observe from all the conversations that we've heard with the ministers, with the vice president himself, there's a lot more openness, there's a lot more willingness to listen. All the answers are probably not exactly there, but when you start having engagement with the people that you lead and with the people that you partner with to turn around things, then it gives you a glimmer of hope. That's first. I mean, that's number two. Number three for me is the fact that the conversations that we've had with the vice president, for example, a number of agenda items that have been placed are those that have come out of the engagements we've had with the government between NEST 21 and NEST 22. In time past, and I'm not just talking of executive now, I'm also talking of other arms of government, the legislature. In the past, it was a bit difficult to actually get them to sit with us and to discuss with us. But part of the beauty of the situation we find ourselves in the country is that, you know what we call TINA, there is no alternative than for us to work together. So even the legislature have become more open, and we've been able to partner with them to work on the kinds of laws, the kinds of policies that will actually set us on a path to growth. Things certainly can be better, but it's a good start.
It's a good start. And, you know, conversations such as this have gone on not just at this particular summit. Even before now, there's been campaigns about Made in Nigeria, especially when, you know, conversations started with regards looking more inward than outward to grow us out of recession. So, for this question really is a rhetorical question, but I have to ask it anyway. Okay. Is this just going to be all about talk, no actions? Policies will be, of course, agenda setting will be done at this particular summit, like every other summit that the Nigeria Economic Summit Group has had. So are there going to be deliberate actions to make sure that this is not just all talk, but at the end of the day, something will crystallize from all of the conversations going on here?
First, I'm happy you asked that question. It's been an issue over the years for people to understand that after this conversation, a lot of work goes on behind the scene. I juxtapose it to someone who's building a house. When the foundation is being worked on, nobody celebrates you, nobody understands until the day the house is erected and is launched. Now, we have systems and structures in place that take the outcomes of every summit to post-summit work for the entire year. What are these systems? First, we have 10 policy commissions that are sector-focused. So when this session is over and we come up with outcomes like, let's have a development plan, a cohesive development plan, we have a policy commission that takes that on. And then all through the 12 calendar months before we come back here, they're partnering with the Ministry of Budgets, they're partnering with the Ministry of Finance, they're partnering with all those who are supposed to be engaged in ensuring that that development plan is produced. So we have the policy commissions that work behind the scenes. And just for the record, between when the Nigeria Economic Summit started, the series of summits till now, several things have happened as a result of the so-called conversations. Privatization, for example, of all the public sector organizations that have become private, NEPA inclusive and so on and so forth. They were canvassed on the summit. If you look at NIPC, the whole act itself was almost literally drafted by the Nigeria Economic Summit after a kind of summit that emphasized on the need for us to shorten the time that it takes when one wants to get into a business in the country. And that is working right now. I can also point at several others. So I assure you that what looks like a talk shop is just the beginning of a conversation, which in the first instance is important, so we get all sides of the game. And then we go back to crystallize each and every one of this and ensure that tangible outcomes are delivered. And I'm going to put a challenge to you, the media. And my challenge is this. At the end of this summit, draft a communique, document whatever we have promised. In 3 months' time, 6 months' time, 9 months' time, come and engage with us and challenge us, challenge government. These are the things you said you would do at the summit. What is happening with this? Go to the office of the vice president, go to the necessary, ministries, and more importantly, subnational, because every time we're looking at executive or the federal, but you have subnational government at the state level. If our states do not become self-sufficient, if our states do not begin to by themselves start to generate income within, then at the end of the day, all of these plans are going to fail.
But then you
so take us on those.
Fine. So that's a challenge for the media, me inclusive. Yes. I will take up that particular challenge.
Thank you.
But you see, beyond all of this, we also have to realize that the executive, for all intents and purposes, is the one that has to lead this campaign, has to lead this march. So looking at this crowd of captains of industry from the private sector, the public sector as well, and non-governmental organizations, what do you think the major takeaway will be? Do you think it's just going to end here? Or do you think everybody is going to sit down and wait to see if actually those policies and the regulatory frameworks actually get put in place to jumpstart this event?
Well, first of all, my attitude to the situation that we face in Nigeria now is that nobody.
All right, sorry to cut you there. We'll come back and we'll quickly finish up this conversation with you. Wonola Adetayo, a director with the Nigeria Economic Summit Group. She'll still be here with me when we return in just a bit. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching this morning on Channels Television. We're coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, venue of the Nigeria Economic Summit 2016 that is focusing on Made in Nigeria. Going on right about now is a question and answer session on the roundtable discussion the Vice President has had on job creation, skills and employment, and has had governors in attendance as well as captains of industry from the private sector, that is. But I'm still here in the studios with Wonola Adetayo, who is the director of the Nigeria Economic Summit Group. So, Wonu, closing moments now, talking about away from the campaign and moving forward.
Yeah, moving forward, as I said, for me, first of all, we need a clear reorientation of minds. People think that this is a temporary thing and it's going to disappear overnight. That is not going to happen. Life, businesses, economies are in cycles. We are in a recession cycle. But rather than react in a panic, expecting that things are going to change tomorrow, it's important to reorientate ourselves and deal with the issue at hand. Now, what should be the response? First, as we ask government to make much input, because when there is recession, it's like you've climbed into a hole and you need a rope to climb out. So government's role is to create an environment that enable businesses to thrive is to pump as much resources that is now lacking, which government has to find, and use that, which has started now, to get as many unemployed engaged, so they become economic agents to bringing about development, bringing about growth, and bringing about improvement in the lot of the people. But then it's not just government. In the private sector, we have to focus on efficiencies. If we're talking about made in Nigeria, people aren't just going to consume made in Nigeria simply because it's made in Nigeria. Focus on quality, focus on improved standards. That is very, very critical. As much as government must give manufacturing sector, agri sector, the areas where jobs are easily created, construction sector, the kind of policies that help these sectors to provide as many jobs as possible. So private sector has to face that. The individual, because now is a globalized economy, we can't shut ourselves out. Every individual, particularly the people that we're saying are unemployed or underemployed, we have to get our skills up. This is the time to actually focus on skills that make us to become economic agents, vocational skills, certification. If we do all of this, government plays its part, private sector plays its part, individuals play their part. And I think individually we need to start asking ourselves some salient questions. How much am I producing? How much am I consuming? We keep on saying we're a consuming nation, but then why don't we produce what we consume? So these are some of the belt-tightening things that we have to do at government level, private sector level, and even at an individual level. And I honestly believe that rather than feel bad about what is happening, it's a beautiful opportunity for us to learn as a nation so that when this storm is over, we come out as stronger people and a stronger economy.
Thank you so much, Wonola, for coming on the program this morning. Wonola Adetayo is Director with the Nigeria Economic Summit Group and, of course, Managing Director of Kano's Edge Consulting. Of course, still conversations are on here at the 22nd Nigeria Economic Summit. It's all about Made in Nigeria. It's a roundtable conversation that is focusing on job creation, skills, and employment. Of course, various other plenaries, sessions, I beg your pardon, will be held today that will focus on key sectors: manufacturing, services, agro-processing, ICT, technology and innovation is really key at this time, creative industry, micro and small enterprises, inventors and innovators. All of that will form various sessions that will be held today at this Nigeria Economic Summit that's ongoing here in the nation's capital,